'Tis the season for Christmas pageants at church. But the pageant forgot that there are 4 separate accounts of the gospel. We'll sort it out with this old school felt board. This is the Moving Picture Bible Study, and this episode is going to be legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Okay, so we all know how one of these felt board things works, right? You take your piece and you stick it on like that, and it doesn't move. Amazing. So there's only one gospel, and that's the gospel of Jesus Christ. But in the Bible, we have 4 accounts of that gospel. There's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Now back in the 2nd century, there was a fellow named Tatian. And Tatian decided to synthesize the 4 accounts of the gospel into one volume, which he called the Diatesseron, which just means through 4 in Greek. Over time, however, the church decided that it didn't like this approach. It liked instead the 4 accounts of the gospel, which you could put in conversation with one another and see the varied experience of different people and how they related to the life of Jesus Christ. Now, our Christmas pageants do a similar thing that Tatian did with his Diatesseron. There are 2 infancy narratives in the Gospel, one in Luke and one in Matthew. Our Christmas pageants put these 2 narratives together, and they also add some bonus material. Okay, let's start with the star couple. We have Mary and Joseph. These 2 appear in both Matthew and in Luke, but each gospel writer focuses on one or the other. In Luke, the focus is very much on Mary, who's looking quite trim for somebody who just gave birth. In Matthew, the story focuses on Joseph. In both, the angel Gabriel comes to them. In Luke, the angel comes to Mary in bodily form. And in Matthew, the angel comes to Joseph in a dream. Now, our first bit of bonus material is the donkey. Now, the donkey isn't in the gospel narrative, but they had to get them from Nazareth to Bethlehem somehow, and since Mary was pregnant, she wasn't going to walk. So they put her on a donkey. And every Christmas pageant has a donkey, but it's not in the gospel. All right. Next we have the star. The star only appears in the gospel according to Matthew, and it shines to give the people who are coming from the east, who we'll talk about in a second, a direction to go. Okay. Now, Mary and Joseph get to Bethlehem in Luke's account of the gospel, and there's no room in the where? Survey says, in the inn. So they have the baby Jesus in a manger. So presumably they go to a stable. But the stable itself isn't technically in the scriptures. There are a lot of old paintings that actually have Jesus being born in a cave, which were commonly used by shepherds to hold their flocks. All right, now here comes the baby Jesus finally. Matthew doesn't actually have Jesus being born in the text, but Luke does. So we're going to put baby Jesus over here. Now, continuing with Luke's story, there are shepherds out in the fields feeding their flocks by night, and some angels come and say some stuff to them. And so that's all in Luke. We're going to put those here. Luke focuses on the shepherds, while Matthew actually focuses on a different group, the magi or wise men or wise folk. Now, they don't technically come until the Epiphany, which is 12 days after Christmas, but we sneak them into the Christmas pageant to give a few extra kids some roles to play. Now, we don't know how many wise men there were, so I'm going to put them over in the bonus material. We do know one thing, though, from Matthew's account, that there were 3 gifts of the wise men. Now, there was gold, frankincense, and myrrh. We don't know how many wise people there are because we don't know if a couple of them went halfsies on the frankincense. So I'm going to put the gifts over in Matthew's account. All right. Now, there's a few more things that are all going to go into the bonus material section. We have the shepherd boy, who, brings the little lamb to Jesus, and it's all cute, and the parents go, oh, that's not in the gospel. All right, so he goes in bonus material. There we go. All right, and finally, we have the lobsters. As everyone knows, there was more than one lobster present at the birth of Jesus. But not in the gospel, so they go in the bonus material. And there you have it. The Nativity story is told by Luke and Matthew, plus all that extra stuff. Now, I hope you don't think I have some vendetta against the Christmas pageant. I really don't. I think it's wonderful, and I love how involved the kids get and how excited they are. But sometimes we need to take a step back and look at the discrete units that make up that larger story. Luke looks at a different thing than Matthew. Luke, the shepherds and the angels. Matthew, the wise men and the star. They're telling the same story in a different way to highlight different parts of it. And if we put them together too often, we're going to miss those differences. So on Christmas Day, pick up your Bible, turn to Luke and Matthew, and read the stories by themselves, and then put them in conversation with each other. See what they have to say to one another and what they have to say to you. And until then, I hope you have a blessed Advent and a happy Christmas. Good night, Godspeed. Okay, so we all know how one of these felt boards works, right? You take your piece, and then you drop it,